Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to the Ironbark Podcast, and I am your host, Epion. Today, we have an episode where we're going to talk about some trapped orcas and a cougar attack. Kind of exciting stuff that's going on in the news recently regarding like nature and wildlife. These two news articles got a lot of headlines. Well, the cougar attack, not so much. The orcas blew up big. So anyway, in Hokkaido, Japan, there's a bay where ice flow will come in from the sea. In the winter seasons, it tends to, freeze over and get solid. And sometimes you'll have a pod of orcas go in there, and it'll suddenly freeze. They'll get trapped. So here's something I learned that I didn't really know about this when I started investigating into this news article. Because I was thinking, probably just like you were thinking right now, why didn't they just swim under the ice and get out of there? Apparently, these orcas have to come to the surface quite often to get air. And apparently, there were some, more juvenile orcas, aka killer whales, in case you're confusing what they might be. So I guess they would have to resurface more often, smaller lungs, etc., etc. So you just see this whole pod kind of like bobbing up and down, kind of like dolphins playing, like, how you would imagine a dolphin coming up and like clapping its flippers or something like it was doing a trick. These orcas are basically doing this in a small patch of ice. Maybe they were keeping it from freezing, trying to break it. Witnesses said that there was like blood around their mouths, sort of indicating that maybe they were trying to chomp down on the ice and break it. So people got concerned, and people started, protesting, not protesting, but like I guess advocating, alerting the authorities to kind of like do something, get an icebreaker in there. And the reason people got concerned is back in 2005 is this actually happened before. A group got trapped in there, and they all perished, unfortunately. So I don't know. But anyway, we don't really know what happened, but everyone's saying that they made it out okay. We don't know how they did it or what. Maybe the flows broke up. Maybe the whales, bumped it from under. They figured it out. But anyway, that's what I hope to be a good news article, because it seems that way. Like when you Google it or whatever, searching online, it's like, oh, they made it out okay, but we don't know how. We didn't. No one was. It was kind of weird how it was like a heavily watched event with like lots of witnesses, but then it sort of just like solved itself without really an answer how. So hopefully there's no deceased orcas underneath that ice sheet. The next thing we're going to talk about, I'm actually going to read you an article, and this is coming from, I believe, what is this? Calgary Herald, I think, maybe. I don't know. It's on MSN.com. Anyway, there was a cougar attack in Banff. Yes, Banff once again for another animal attack. You got to be careful. I've said this in the last a couple podcasts ago. There was a grizzly bear attack that I discussed. You got to be careful in the winter months. You got to be careful. Food is scarce. Winters are tough. Animals get desperate. And yeah, and the prey animals, they actually like the four-legged animals, the elk, the reindeer, whatever, what have you, they actually kind of rely on deep snow to escape predators. So they're hard to catch in the wintertime. Anyway, so we're gonna have there's this news article here. It cites the guy's name. I'm not going to say his name just in case he doesn't want to be like identified, although he definitely gave his name to the newspaper, so it's public knowledge, and if you research it, you could easily find it. We're just going to call him S, just out of, I don't know, a nice courtesy to him, I suppose. So anyway, S says that he says what began as a tranquil solo hike. This is solo. This is another key part. So when you go hiking, I mean, I do it solo all the time, but if you're going to do it solo, you got to be smart. Play loud music, have your whistle, be obnoxious, that type of sort of thing. I don't use a whistle, but I will listen to like a podcast or have music. I won't do it if I know other people are on the trail, though, because I know that's inconsiderate and rude. Anyway, I digress. So he was on a solo hike in Banff National Park on Monday, turned into a terrifying ordeal fighting off a cougar attack. The 23-year-old was on the rock-bound lake trailhead near Castle Junction. Castle Junction, which is near Castle Mountain, which was actually, I think, originally or at one point renamed to Roosevelt Mountain when he visited Banff National Park in like his honor. But then I guess Canadians were kind of like, nah, that doesn't sit well with us. It's Castle Mountain. Anyway, I digress again. When he decided it was time to make his way back to his vehicle, as his phone battery was running low, I mean, I guess, yeah, if he's listening to music, it makes sense. He went off trail about 15 meters for a bathroom break. Oh, interesting. And was admiring the view when suddenly a cougar jumped onto his left shoulder. Huh, okay. So the cougar may not have been stalking him. Maybe it was. But he could have accidentally stumbled onto that cougar. You know, like maybe it was like hiding from him and he just inadvertently wandered into its direction where it was like bedded down or something. Here's a quote from him. I reach around, grab as much fur as I can, S says. With the momentum of it jumping on me, I kind of fell forward and kind of like a front flip down the hill. And that's the end of the quote. Making it even more challenging, his glasses fell off, and S started kicking and screaming while pushing the cougar away by its neck. He believes the entire encounter may have lasted around 20 to 30 seconds and isn't sure if he lost consciousness. I hit my face. That's where all the scratches and bruises came from. I smashed it on a log. He recalled the smell of the animal as a wet dog sprayed by a skunk with a pungent odor of urine. Like, that is a horrible smelling animal. Like, if you had any doubts that this like attack even happened, maybe he was like this was someone that was doing it for like attention, which I don't think so. But I mean, some people might think that, right, when they hear these kind of things. That description alone, to me, is like convincing enough to be like, okay, this actually happened, because it's so specific and it's so to the point, and it's like you can actually imagine like every encounter people have with like a bear. It's that they always say it's the absolute worst. It's the worst in the world. I believe this story wholeheartedly simply based on that description. Initially, S thought it was the snow that fell from his tree onto his shoulder. Oh man, I've heard. I'm sorry to keep interjecting into the article here, but I hear so many stories of people where like they get slashed and like they just feel like warm coffee pouring on them, but that's what the sensation feels to them, the initial shock and sort of the out of nowhereness of the whole situation. People just think, oh, I just poured hot coffee all over myself, but it's really like, no, you got slashed, and that's your blood. That's your warm blood pouring on. Like, anyway, I digress. I'll keep going. But with a paw on his face, he soon realized it was much more of a serious situation. Yeah, no kidding. Here's another quote from the person. I do think it was definitely a younger cougar. It wasn't an adult full grown. It was probably like a golden retriever size, maybe 80 pounds, and had a black marking on it, on the neck. So, I think that's pretty much the end of the article. And then they start getting into like, I think just like people that they interview outside of that give their opinions on it. So that's pretty much what happened, and that's as far as I'm going to read it anyway. I guess it's just the rest of the article is just related stuff. So I just want to talk about what I know about cougars. Generally pretty shy animals. Generally kind of curious. They will kind of stalk you because they'll be like, oh, is that food? But they kind of know you're not food. Like, attacks on humans, relatively rare. And the reason they're relatively rare is because most of the animals they hunt, nothing like us. Like, they are nothing like us, dude. Like, four-legged quadrupeds. So sometimes I think there's mistaken identity when you're on like a bike and you're kind of like leaning forward. So you're mountain biking. You kind of have somewhat of a resemblance to like a four-legged creature running, right? Like you can kind of see the parallels to that. And then, they eat like pheasants, rabbits, hare, like whatever they can really get their hands on, right? It's small kind of animals. And when they jump on these animals, those four-legged ones, the way they do it is they jump onto the back. And the back of those animals is kind of like a platform for it. It's like, hey, I got you. And the way a mountain lion will kill is it'll actually go for the throat, like the neck. It like tries to suffocate them or choke them out. It latches on to that jugular and it doesn't let go. And it holds there until their prey stops living. Now, sometimes there is a struggle. The animal they're trying to get, it's powerful, it's healthy, whatever. it's able to fight it off, and the mountain lion isn't prepared for it, especially if they're a lighter animal. You can see like videos online of like mountain lions getting fought off and they're getting swung around pretty quick, and and they're trying to like grab and claw. So that's why the kind of like that back platform is key. They sink the claws in, go for the bite. So when this mountain lion jumped on him, paw on his shoulder, I wonder if he was like positioned in a way where he created a platform. And then the thing is, he didn't get bit. It didn't go for the bite. But I guess like that's where the awkward momentum, like he said, he like twisted and threw him. And that would be similar to like, a bighorn sheep, a big powerful one just being like, no, not today. And the kicks and the headbutts and the see you later and the, taking off up the mountain real quick, all that kind of stuff. With the mountain lion, this guy probably like threw his momentum forward, moved in a way no animal really moves, and was kind of like, whoa, okay, the momentum, he's doing a barrel roll or he's throwing forward. And if it's a young animal, doesn't have a lot of hunting experience, it's going to be completely unfamiliar with it. So I reckon maybe he was afraid. I don't know. Was it hunting? Hard to say. He went off the trail, pounced on him. Was it up a tree and it was like scared and like maybe he was like, how much situational awareness did the hiker have? Did he inadvertently chase this animal up a tree? Like it was like grounded and it was like, oh, and then it was kind of like, oh, okay, like you're going to keep coming closer. You're going to keep coming closer. Hey, okay. And then it just like attacked out of like, and then once he sort of fled and like fought it off, it was like, okay, well, I just wanted you to go away from me because I thought you were coming after me. And then it like messed off, maybe that was the situation. I don't know. Anyway, that's my rant about that. And I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. I hope you took something away from that. What am I doing tomorrow? Tomorrow is a long weekend for me. Hallelujah. Thank God it's Friday. So I've decided a few things I want to do. I want to work on more content creation, more than just the podcast, more than just the wildlife videos. People enjoy those things, but at best, and I'm struggling even to meet this goal, is to do the podcast once a week, a wildlife video once a week. I just don't know where people can find the time to do these things regularly. I don't know if they work with a team. I don't know if they have people helping them. I don't know if they film the stuff, they send it to an editor, the editor cranks it out for them, blah, 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 blah. But I'm doing everything myself, and it's a lot of work. And these are just my hobbies, right? So I want to start doing sort of like reaction videos or review videos. Not really reaction. Reaction is kind of lazy. You're basically just content stealing and being like, I am reacting to this and making faces. Talked to a good friend of mine. He pointed that out. He's like, that's lame. Don't do that. So I was like, okay, well, I don't want it to be a reaction. Like, I kind of want it to be like, sort of like what I just did with this article, is where instead of me reading it to you, I'm watching an interview and they're saying things, and then I'm pausing it along the way, adding additional context, kind of giving you a little bit of knowledge, a little bit of, little magical beans along the way. And I'm going to film it. Like, I'm going to film me. I got like a nice setup now. I got my nice DSLR camera set up to record it, so it'll be high quality. But when I plugged that in, I realized, hey, it doesn't matter how good the camera is. You need good lighting. So then I got some lighting. I got a backdrop. Bada bing, bada boom. I think we're ready to rock and roll. The first few videos were probably kind of rough. If some of you guys out there like video editing and all that kind of stuff and have some recommendations, don't hesitate to leave feedback in the comments below. But don't just say, lighting's garbage, fix it. Well, you can say that. But if you know how to fix it and give recommendations, and you can kind of like quickly articulate like, hey, put a light here and a light there, see if that works better, then I would be very thankful and appreciative of it, because you're going to help make me be better. But yeah, that's what I want to do. I want to do like a little reaction videos, and I think people will like kind of like seeing my face as opposed to just my voice. And I'm going to be putting those on X. X is a great platform. It's been really supportive of me. I personally really enjoy it. I hope you guys enjoy it too. I think it's getting better and better. They're doing articles now on there, so there's like an articles tab. I think it's just on iPhone right now. I'm hoping it's on desktop. I can't remember, but it will eventually if it's not now. And I've lost my train of thought. Yeah, okay, so content creation. I don't know if you guys caught this, but my latest video that I uploaded was me going to the penguin walk at the Calgary Zoo. Kind of like a thing for kids, kind of like a novelty, whatever. It was a fucking blast. It's pretty cool. Not gonna lie, it was pretty cool. I liked it. I thought it was awesome. The whole penguin exhibit itself is pretty awesome. There's no penguins in the northern hemisphere. These are the closest things you're gonna get. Although you do have, I think, what is it called? Convergent evolution, where you have like a species fill that like ecological niche. So we do have puffins in the northern hemisphere and in Canada. Not really near me because they're more of a coastal type thing. I guess I could go to BC. It's not that far away. And then you have this extinct animal. It was known as the great auk, and it looks basically like a giant penguin, kinda. It's like a giant puffin, and it's not a penguin, but it filled the ecological niche. Sort of what you could consider to be, I don't know, like a red panda and a raccoon, two completely different animals, but I think they kind of fill that same ecological niche. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right, I don't know. Anyway, and it's cool how they kind of developed similar looking things, but they are actually like biologically a lot different. I need to digress again. I got footage of that. It's a vlog style type thing. I want to start doing more vlogs, so another plan for tomorrow is I'm going to do another vlog. And if you're listening to this the night I post it, a couple hours, maybe you'll be able to find me out in the wild. And there's only been a few people that I've run into that have actually noticed me, and I always think that's kind of cool because I don't know, I have a very small following, but I'm also very kind of like, I don't know, I comment and reply to a lot of things, and I think it kind of like people notice me even if they don't follow me. Like I think, I don't know, but I know people have come up like, hey, you're so and so from Instagram or from that or blah 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 blah. And I don't know, once you're in the wildlife community or like conservation community or photography community, like people know who you are, kind of like, especially if you put your face out there, right? They see it on Instagram, they're like, oh, you're that guy on that, especially locally, right? I think the algorithms kind of show you more local people in and around you. But yeah, so I want to do more vlogs. So we're going to do a vlog, and I'm going to do it out by Abraham Lake. People always make a big deal out of the bubbles in this lake. So this lake, I guess, has a lot of methane in the bottom, and as it freezes, these bubbles get trapped. And when the ice is clear, you look at it, it's like, oh, they're beautiful bubbles and stuff like that. Some people think it's cool. There's some really good photography that made it look cool. But when you get there, it's just a lake with it's like anything else. It's like, it's just a rock. It's just a canyon. You go to the Grand Canyon, like it's just a hole. Like, is it? But I've always wanted to walk across the lake and go like towards Abraham Mountain. Even if I couldn't get to like the terrestrial part, like the land, that'd be super awesome. I think I want to do a bit of a bit, like a vlog, do a couple of things. I don't know. I'll keep it secret for now because I don't actually know if I'm going to do it. But that's where I'll be tomorrow. So if you're listening to it tonight, and I probably won't, this probably won't get uploaded till much later. So it's very unlikely that any of you close to me will be listening to this. But if you are, and you're like, I want to see him, I want to go say hi, this is your opportunity. It's not a very good opportunity. It's a very small opportunity, but it is an opportunity nonetheless. So I think that's all I wanted to say. I wanted to talk about a beaver dam, so I'm just going to throw that in there right at the end here. So in like Wood Buffalo or Wood Bison National Park, can't remember, northern Alberta, basically on the border of like Northwest Territories. I think it's Canada's largest national park. Also has the world's largest beaver dam at 800 meters, and I'm totally planning a trip there, and I'm going to go there and get some footage. Maybe. I have to do more research. If you can only appreciate the size of the dam from an aerial bird's eye view, then I'm probably not going to go, and the reason being is I probably won't be able to get footage that anyone would enjoy or appreciate, because I don't think drones are allowed in national parks. So, and I don't even own a drone just because of the ethics behind it. But so that whole thing just goes out the water if it's like, no, it only looks good from this bird's eye view, and it's kind of like, well, couldn't do it anyway even if I had one. So it's a non-point. But anyway, that's what I'll leave you with. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Thanks for listening. Please throw me a follow on X. We're trying to build the followers. It seems like every time I gain like 5, I lose 4. I need that big leap. I just need that leap, that big bounce. So I think that's what'll happen with like better content creation, or not. Maybe not. Okay, better is key, I'm trying to get better, but that's something you build towards. But I think it's more. The one video, the one podcast a week, which is even struggling to achieve, isn't good enough. And the reason I do that is because sometimes I record things, I don't post them because I feel like it's not quality, it's not good enough. But maybe I'm just going to start doing like, screw it, it's going up. We're posting it. I don't care if it's 5 minutes, 7 minutes, 10 minutes long, it's going up. Just build that content library, just be more frequent, increase the chances and likelihood of something just going viral. Who knows? The wildlife videos I love doing. They take a lot of time and effort. It's also incredibly hard to find an animal in the wild. And if you've been listening to me, you know my rules. No baiting, no calling, none of that rubbish. You just go out, you hope they get lucky. You got kind of like strategies that help you get lucky, like being quiet, keeping still, just kind of keeping post on for a long time, maybe familiarizing yourself with like animal corridors and stuff like that. But you got to remember also the positional advantages I take, like don't want to fall don't want to fall, but also want like a good healthy gap between me and whatever is in between me, especially if it's a predator. So it's work. And getting that shot, getting it camera steady. Ground's not flat outside usually. Like it's hard, especially like got a tripod, and if you got to move the angle real quick, trying to move an entire tripod, very difficult. It's hard. But yeah, I think the reaction, not the reaction, what are they called? Like review on kind of like stuff that's interesting, that's relevant to the podcast. I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to put it up there. It's going to be popular creators too that I'll be reviewing. But maybe maybe it'll just be like footage from something like the Orcas. Anyway, I've dragged on way too long. I hope you all have like a great weekend. I hope everyone enjoys it. I hope everyone stays safe out there. Avoid the cougar attacks, all that kind of stuff. Let's stay safe for our sake and for the animals' sake. Us being safe keeps them safe and others safe. Because if you feed them and all that garbage, they get used to humans, they get close to humans, they think you're friendly, they think, oh, this is a source of food. But then maybe it's not for the guy that, carries a firearm or something. Or maybe it's not for the guy that overreacts, or the guy that, that runs away and all of a sudden he triggers a prey, or he comes across as prey and it triggers the predatory instincts in that animal and then they attack. There's a whole bunch of, just leave them alone. Appreciate the beauty and the majesty from a distance. Just be like, wow, that was great. Don't pet them. They're not pets. Pet your dog. Your pet wants pets. All the pets you want to give to the grizzly bears, give to the pooch. The doggy wants them. They'll take the bonus pets. Anyway, that's it. Thanks, folks. Ciao.